And how's it going, everyone? It is Skullzi here with the latest and the greatest gaming news. Today I have some unfortunate news for you all because Bethesda has once again put greed and profit over the best interests of the gaming community, and this time it's in a pretty straight up disrespectful way. Apparently the Xbox community doesn't mean literally anything to Bethesda because Sony paid them off in order to make both Deathloop and Ghostwire Tokyo be timed exclusives for the PS5 and the PC. Sorry Xbox community, you apparently don't mean anything at all to Bethesda. And on top of all this, the horrible decision was kept secret on purpose up until literally minutes after the PS5 event ended, which was a very obvious strategic move on Bethesda's part, and I'll explain why. Real quick, for those that don't already know, the PS5 event that I'm referring to in today's video took place on June 11th, and revolved around several next-gen game reveals as well as some information about the PS5's hardware, including that cutting-edge SSD that Sony has only mentioned about 8,000 times now. Now, if you did miss that event, don't worry because you can watch it in its entirety here on my channel. I streamed it and uploaded it in its entirety, so check for the live stream playlist on my channel. And this event was actually pretty decent, with some pretty interesting new AAA games being showcased as well as some really trippy weird stuff. And this event had actual gameplay, unlike the recent Xbox quote-unquote gameplay event. And at this PS5 showcase, Bethesda dropped the first ever gameplay for both Deathloop and Ghostwire Tokyo, and both of these games looked amazing, much more so than I was actually expecting, to be honest, especially Deathloop. But then right after the hype assumed direct control, right after the PS5 event ended, the community had to wait to find out from Jeff Keighley that both Deathloop and Ghostwire Tokyo would be timed exclusives, only available for the PS5 and the PC. First of all, that was a horrible way to ruin two very amazing gameplay reveals. Both Deathloop and Ghostwire Tokyo looked amazing. Deathloop looked like a spiritual successor to Dishonored in many ways, and Ghostwire had some of those heavy BioShock vibes. I was completely blown away by Deathloop and Ghostwire Tokyo, and in my opinion they were the shining stars of that PS5 event. That is, up until I found out about that timed exclusivity. First off, the way this was kept secret from the community during the showcase was extremely disrespectful and shady. Bethesda knew very well what they were doing here. They knew very well that if the community saw all of that gameplay, knowing the games were going to be timed exclusives, they may not have been as excited about both games. So Bethesda waited until after the gameplay was shown, until after the PS5 event ended, before they let this information go out to the public. I wonder how many pre-orders Bethesda got in a time between the gameplay reveals and the timed exclusivity reveal. Big time, big time. And I'm sure that the Sony community doesn't mind this at all. After all, they love their exclusives like wood elves love the trees, and before you assume I'm an Xbox fanboy or something stupid like that, and that is the sole reason why I'm even doing this video, then you are completely wrong. I play on all consoles, but generally I stay on PC because my video editing rig can also play games in all of their 4K and sometimes even 8K goodness. The actual reason I am doing this video is because the gaming community literally gains nothing from exclusivity like this, and they never do. And I'm not just talking about timed exclusives here, I'm talking about gaming exclusives in general, even console exclusives like The Last of Us. All exclusives do is fragment the gaming community, forcing them into choosing which expensive piece of plastic they want to use and buy in order to play their games. And this very foundation of being forced into having to make a decision into which console to purchase immediately activates that portion in most people's brains where they feel they need to justify that purchase as much as possible, especially because these consoles aren't cheap for a lot of people. This leads to the inevitable fanboyism and extreme console preference defensiveness that has been plaguing the gaming community for years now. It seems many in the community forget the actual thing that we all share in common. We love games, yet instead we focus more on the devices used to play those games rather than the actual games themselves, allowing preference to divide us, causing us to draw even more lines in the sand instead of using that shared interest of gaming to bring us closer together. The world needs less stupid stuff like this, especially now more than ever. And in a time when we should all be brought together, Bethesda decides they're gonna do something greedy in order to separate people even further. And I feel like exclusives like this, even timed exclusives, are a main factor behind all console war drama. The only people who benefit from exclusivity in gaming are the corporations that receive those huge, big old exclusivity checks, or people that, for some brain malfunctioning reason, actually legit like console wars. I wonder how much it took for Bethesda to get paid off, basically bribed into fragmenting the gaming community into forcing them to choose whether or not they should buy a fridge or an air purifier. I know Bethesda has been making some greedy decisions over the past few years, but I was hoping they would have at least learned from all that negativity they received. However, this stupid-ass timed exclusivity deal is a very clear sign that Bethesda is simply one of the many puppets of Robert Altman and the rest of the investors that bought into Bethesda recently. Ever since that investment, decisions favoring profit over the interest of the gaming community have been rampant like a plague over at Bethesda, and also very, very obvious. Bethesda even straight up lied about certain microtransaction elements regarding Fallout 76, which seems to indicate that their hand was forced by ZeniMax to eventually include them in the game. This makes me worried about the future of Bethesda. Could Starfield potentially end up being a timed exclusive as well, or even The Elder Scrolls 6? How would it make you feel if The Elder Scrolls 6 was a timed exclusive on either the PS5 or the Xbox X for like the first year after release? If this sounds like something that would piss you off, I highly suggest letting Bethesda know how you feel about exclusivity in gaming like this as soon as possible. Let's make our voices heard, because this is the only way we can defend our community and not let ZeniMax and Bethesda slowly dissolve into a cold, heartless husk like Electronic Arts. I'm not saying spam Bethesda or send them any shitty hate mail or anything like that. Just be professional, honest, and straight up about how you feel about exclusivity. As for how long Deathloop and Ghostwire Tokyo will actually be timed exclusives for, that hasn't yet been announced. While Bethesda has acknowledged that both games are indeed timed exclusives, they stated the exact duration of this exclusivity is yet to be determined, which makes me wonder if Bethesda was paid a lump sum upfront from Sony at first, and Sony will eventually pay more depending on how long Bethesda actually agrees the timed exclusivity should last. Bethesda may be waiting to see how angry the community is over this decision, and they'll determine the duration of this exclusivity deal based upon how bad all this drama gets. So like I said, make your voices heard, but don't troll, don't spam, and don't otherwise be shitty to Bethesda or anyone else for that matter in any way, shape, or form under my banner. Be polite, be professional, and be passionate. That is how you make change. You catch more glowflies with skooma rather than poop. Well, maybe. Either way, that finishes up today's video. As always, what I want to know is, what do you have to say about all of this? My neighbor is apparently cutting wood all day, every 5 minutes, so sorry if you heard his saw going down in the background. But let me know how you feel about Bethesda selling out a large portion of the gaming community. Let me know what you think down in the comments below, and if your comment wins the internet, you may get featured in a future video. Be sure to like the video if you enjoy the content, and if you want to stay in the know when it comes to the latest gaming news, hit that subscribe button and turn notifications on so you don't miss the latest uploads. Follow me over on Twitter for other news that doesn't quite make it into my videos, as well as other channel updates, and check for links down in the description below for the official Skullzi merchandise site, the Skullzi Discord community chat server, and if you want to have your hand in providing future content, there are links on how to be an exclusive channel member over on YouTube or here on Patreon as well. And as always, thank you for watching. Be sure to tune in next time when you need to purchase Robert Altman tokens in order to save your game progress in future Bethesda games. Yay! Microtransactions. Yay, Robert Altman. Yay.
just works.